Did you know that 45% of human capital management HCM platforms and human resources software implementations fail to achieve their objectives? Do you know why? It is because organizations underestimated the importance of effective change management, which led to resistance and low adoption of HCM and HR software. My name is Obi Iradion, and in this video, I will show you the exact best change management framework that I have successfully used at organizations like Apple, Microsoft, Yale University, and more, so that you can drive adoption and success within your organization or within any organization. For today's session, there are some key outcomes for you. And you can go ahead and take notes, or you can pause this video at any point in time to take screenshots. The first outcome is to equip you with the latest change management methodology for human capital management and HR software implementation. 2, provide and empower you with actionable insights and best practices that help me increase my success. And 3, to prepare you with how-to knowledge for delivering change management, not just for HCM and human resources software, but for any type of software. Here is the portfolio of best change management deliverables that you will want to deliver for rolling out HCM and HR software within an organization. I will go into details into every single one of these, but at a high level, it involves conducting change assessments, delivering communications, developing and implementing change strategies and plans, engaging with leaders, coaching and training impacted users, and tracking change successes. To increase your success, you will want to apply this 4-phase change management approach based on best change practices for rolling out HCM. You want to start by assessing readiness for the HCM and human resources software rollout. Then you want to move into design and development. This is where you build the change strategy, the plans, the assets for delivering change management. The third phase is where we implement the change deliverables and we also track adoption. And then the fourth phase is where we sustain and reinforce the change by ensuring that we embed the new behaviors into day-to-day operations for using the new HCM and HRO platforms. Let us quickly go over the change deliverables for phase 1. So before jumping into doing any kind of training or communications, we need to understand how ready the organization actually is for change. And so a readiness assessment looks at culture, capacity, leadership style, and alignment to spot risk before they slow down adoption. Think about when you take your car to a mechanic shop. The first thing the mechanic does is a diagnostic. A diagnostic basically tells the mechanic where to focus the activities. It is the same situation here. Your readiness assessment is your early diagnostic that tells you where to focus your change efforts. The first thing you want to start out with is assessing the current state and also the culture. What is the current mindset towards change within impacted groups? How are decisions made? Who has influence? Why is it important for you to gather all of this information? If the culture of an impacted group is known to resist any kind of change, then you will want to know this information so you can plan accordingly and roll out the right change management deliverables. You will also want to assess change fatigue and change saturation. Basically, what other programs are your impacted users currently experiencing? Because when you find out if people are already overwhelmed by other initiatives, you want to bake that into your change strategies and plans to make sure that you are intentional with how you do change management. The second thing you want to do is conduct a change impact assessment. You want to clearly define what is changing. And here we are talking about processes, systems, job roles, workflows, as well as who's affected, what's the severity of impact, what is the current state, what is the future state, and also what information does change management need to consider when it comes to communications and also training. So you want to use a change impact assessment template similar to what I have on my screen for doing your change impact for your HCM and HR software rollout. This helps you prioritize where to apply the most support. You will also want to have a view similar to what I have on my screen to present to leadership. For leadership, you don't want to overwhelm them with too much information. So you want a one slider like this one that shows the consolidated level of impact across the different personas. In addition, you will want to identify resistance, which we also call risk, that may derail the HCM and HR software implementation. You want to ensure that you capture the biggest blockers early on. So, for example, you might have leaders that have a lack of leadership buy-in, or you might have leaders that are known to be resisting the change. You might also have low levels of awareness, or you might have competing projects. You want to document all of this information using a risk log similar to what I am showing on my screen. The next thing is you want to map your stakeholders and champions. So basically, identify the influencers as well as who can make or break the rollout. You want to group these stakeholders by level of interest and ability to influence and impact. People that have high level of interest, meaning that they are receptive to the HCM rollout. And if those people also have a high ability to influence other people, and if they have a high ability to impact your project positively or negatively, those are considered critical champions. They already have a high interest. Now, if they had low interest, but they have a high ability to influence other people, and they have a high ability to negatively impact the rollout, then you have a problem. Those people are critical resistors, and you want to make sure that your resistance management plans actively prioritize mitigating resistance with those types of people. The next thing you want to do is assess enablement needs. So different departments, different groups will have preferences for how they want to receive training, how they want to receive communications, how they want to receive engagements. And so you want to have quick meetings with champions or SMEs or selected individuals within these departments. You want to ask them, how does your department like to receive training? How do they like to receive communications? How do they like to be engaged? Is very important. Now, keep this in mind. This gathering department level preferences, because we will talk about it again in about 10 minutes from now. It is very important that you keep this in mind, okay? Something else to do is send out a readiness survey to gather the level of awareness, desire to support the change, level of knowledge, level of proficiency and ability, and other pieces of readiness information. And if you stick with me to the end, I will show you how to download a free survey template that you can start using right away. The 6 key deliverables that we just went over, which is what I have showing on my screen, are all part of key deliverables for phase 1. Why they're all important? They are important because the insights that you gather will become the foundation for the change strategies and plans that you develop as part of phase 2. Now that we have completed our readiness assessments in phase 1, it is time to move on to phase 2. Phase 2 is the design and develop aspect of your change management program for an effective change management delivery to support HCM and HR software implementation. In this phase, you will be focused on designing your change strategies and developing change management plans. Once readiness is assessed, the next step is to build targeted change strategies that address the key drivers of adoption. So based on your findings from your readiness assessment, you will now be able to better develop the 8 change strategies, which we are currently looking at here on my screen. These 8 strategies cover all angles of change management, from communication, training, and leadership engagement to resistance management and post-go-live sustainment. The goal really is to tailor each strategy to your organization's unique culture and impact assessment rather than using a one-size-fits-all approach. Here's an example of one of many communication strategies. This one example has helped me implement successful change management for HCM implementations. The strategy involves using a hybrid communication approach that involves a top-down and bottom-up approach. For the top-down, you want to engage with leaders and ask them to cascade communication to their employees. For the bottom-up, you want to engage with champions to cascade communication to their team members. So they are cascading up. This top-down and bottom-up approach is a hybrid communication approach that proves to be very, very successful. The next thing, after defining and developing your change strategies, you want to now develop the detailed change management plans that outline step by step how you will be conducting communication, doing training, managing resistance, and tracking adoption. Together, these detailed change management plans help you execute change management in a structured, measurable way. Here is the goal: consistency, accountability, and sustained adoption. The next thing is developing, socializing, and also finalizing a holistic change roadmap. This roadmap outlines how to sequence change activities across the different timelines. This holistic roadmap is important because leadership, they love seeing a one slider roadmap like this one that shows them how everything will be landing, and they will be able to view all of this information in one slider. The next thing is developing your communication assets. So you want to develop invites for kickoff sessions, onboarding sessions, and training reminders. You want to use emails for program updates, countdowns, types of communications, and go live announcements. You can also use newsletters to maintain momentum and share success stories. I also recommend doing tips and tricks. These are basically content like short videos or quick use guides that help users see real value in HCM and HR software much faster. The key is consistency. You want to communicate early, often, and using a multi-pronged channels approach so that messages land across all audiences. Another key a deliverable you should consider involves putting together a change enablement site. This will be your centralized hub for videos, for guides, for quick reference materials. When you centralize training and other helpful materials, as well as videos, and you can use SharePoint for this, you basically make learning easy, consistent, and accessible. You help users quickly build confidence, and this helps to sustain adoption after go live. You also want to create onboarding and engagement materials for the champions. So put together champion kickoff decks, put together toolkits for champions that help them understand their roles and responsibilities, that help them understand how best to communicate and educate their colleagues about the HCM rollout. You also want to develop a feedback loop with the champions that will allow them to provide you with feedback. In addition, you should also create leadership engagement materials to help leaders champion the HCM and HR software rollout. This includes developing playbooks for leaders that include talking points, that include communication drafts. You also want to create a leader action roadmap that clarifies to leaders what is expected before, during, and after go live. And you also want to create a day in the life use case script to educate leaders on how the HCM will improve their productivity. And I will go into detail in regards to this day in the life. It is very important that you understand how to put this together and how to implement this. So stay tuned on that. The next thing, before we move on to phase 3, is let us do a quick recap of phase 2. In this phase, we developed comprehensive change management plans that translate strategy into action, covering communication, training, stakeholder engagement, resistance management, adoption tracking, and more. These plans together ensure alignment, accountability, and consistency as we prepare the organization for a successful HCM and HR software rollout. Before we go on, if you are into change management as much as I am, please go ahead and give this video a like. You can also subscribe to our growing community of people who love organization change management just as much as you do. All right, now that we have built the foundation through readiness assessments and putting together our change strategies and plans. It is time to move into phase 3, which is the implement and manage adoption phase. In this phase, you will want to focus on execution and helping people to accept, embrace, and become proficient in using the new HCM or the new HRO software. Now, during this phase, you will want to roll out your detailed communication plan. And on my screen, I have a sample detailed communication plan that includes the audience that will be receiving communication, what type of communications they should be receiving. Communications include awareness communications, get ready updates, countdown for go live. So for example, hey everyone, go live is 4 weeks from now. And then 2 weeks later, hey everyone, go live is 2 weeks from now. And then the weekend of go live, maybe on a Friday or a Thursday, you say, hey everyone, just a friendly reminder, this weekend, we will be transitioning to the new HCM platform, and we will be giving you access to access the new platform on Monday, right? That's a countdown, get ready type of communication. The goal is to make sure that everyone that is impacted gets the right information at the right time through the right channels to build excitement, readiness, and sustain adoption of the HCM platform. It is during this stage that you also launch and actively manage your change champion network. So when I do change management consulting for a lot of our clients, I establish the champion network by doing a kickoff call. During the kickoff, we put together and we also present roles and responsibilities of what it means to be a champion for a HCM rollout, as well as the anticipated time commitment. We also go over how we will support the champions, and most importantly, we give the champions an overview of the roadmap. That way they know when things will be landing, how, as well as other information that they need to know. We don't stop with the kickoff. We'll continue to engage and support the champions with office hours, with engagement sessions where we ask them to share feedback with us, or we go over additional tips and tricks for how they can better use the new HCM platform. The bottom line really is to keep champions engaged and also supported. You also want to deliver hands-on training and enablement sessions to impacted users. You can do this via virtual sessions or in person. Now, let's pause for a second. Do you remember what I said at the beginning of this call when I mentioned doing a current state and cultural assessment? And during that time, I mentioned that you want to talk to select stakeholders and you want to ask them, how does your department like to receive communication? How do they like to receive training? How do they like to be engaged? Well, when you are delivering your training session, you want to make sure that all of the different impacted groups, you are delivering training to them the way they prefer to receive training. Very important for you to keep in mind. Also, when I deliver change management to increase adoption for HCM platforms, I normally use what I call a white glove leadership and sponsor enablement approach. And I recommend that you do the same thing because it will help you increase the success for this program. By delivering a white glove session to leadership, you are conducting one-on-one sessions with the leaders or small groups. You also want to use a day in the life. use case, which I will go over with you shortly, to make it real for these leaders, to make it real how exactly HCM and HR software that is being implemented, how it will help their productivity on a day-by-day basis. Here's how you implement this white glove approach. Send an email to the executive. I call it an outreach email, and you can take a screenshot of what I have on my screen and actually use this. You want to let the leader know what this is all about and that you plan to engage with their EA to schedule a 30-minute white glove session with them. And you want to include a few bullet points as to what that meeting is going to cover. And if you take a look at my screen, you will notice that I did include a couple of things. Now, 30 minutes is normally what you will get, but I myself, I aim for 60 minutes. And lo and behold, sometimes just because I put 60 minutes in front of the leader, they are more likely to accept my invitation. If I had just said 30 minutes, then that would have been it. It would have just been 30 minutes. But aim for 60 minutes, and the leader might come back, or the EA might come back and say they can only give you 30 minutes, which is fine. But it is important, aim for 60 minutes and state that on your outreach email that, hey, you would like to schedule a 60-minute call. Now, let's cover something very quickly. As we talked earlier, leaders play a critical role in driving change adoption for HCM and HR software rollout. They act as communicators, sharing the vision and explaining why the change matters. They are also advocates. They are showing visible support through their actions. They also act as liaisons, helping to translate strategy into what it means for their teams from a day-to-day perspective. They also serve as coaches. They coach their direct reports and their organizations. Most importantly, they also help manage resistance and concerns within their teams, which is why it is important to coach and help each leader be able to connect the dots on how the new HCM and HR software will help them personally. When you are onboarding or coaching leaders, you want to use this day in the life flow to make it real for them. You want to walk them through starting from around 8 a.m. You want to say something like, hey, leader, based on my understanding, here's what you normally do around 8 a.m. And here is how the new HCM will help support you. And then 9:30, here is what we understand you do, and here is how the HCM will help support you, all the way down to the end of the day. This approach allows the leader to see immediate value and positions them to confidently champion adoption across their teams. Here is something you should not do. When you present this slide, don't present everything at once. Instead, use a build slide like this. You want to start by doing a quick overview of what this day in the life entails. And then you want to say, hey, leader, hey, John Doe, let's say her name is John. Hey, John, or hey, Jane. Around 8 a.m., we understand here are some things that you normally do as a leader within your department. And here is how the new HCM will support you. And then you click once to build the slide. And you say, around 9:30, based on our understanding, here are some of the things that you do. And here is how the new HCM will help improve your productivity. The leader might have questions. You want to make sure you address those questions. And then you click once more. And then you say, around 11 a.m., we understand this is what you normally do. And here is how the new HCM will help improve your productivity. You get where I'm going with this, right? And then you click one more time, and then you discuss 1 p.m., and then 3 p.m., and then 5 p.m. Before putting together a day in the life slide, you want to make sure you have talked to some people that understand the day in the life of a particular leader. And then you bake in how the new HCM will help improve their productivity. You don't want to go in blind. Next, let us talk about managing resistance, both proactively and reactively. So, during adoption of any HCM platform, you will always have people reacting differently to the change. Some will be receptive, some will not. A few will quietly disengage. They stop responding to your emails, they don't show up to meetings. Your job is to identify resistance early through stakeholder analysis and conversations, and then tailor your interventions. So remember when we talked about during the readiness assessment phase, you should identify a resistance and also document that. Well, during the implement phase is when you implement your resistance management plan. So if you take a look at my screen, you will notice that we have a list of sample names, job titles, level of resistance, ability to impact, what needs to be done, what their department is. So you can actually create a similar template that includes mitigation tasks that will be done, as well as who will be responsible for conducting those mitigation tasks. And then as we move into measuring adoption and success for the HCM software rollout, this is where you start turning insights into action. You want to track key adoption metrics like how users are using the new HCM, usage trends, engagement trends. You also want to track feedback from users as well as from the champions. These metrics help you understand not just who is using the tool, but how effectively it is being used across different teams. Before we move on to phase 4, let us quickly do a recap of phase 3, which is the implement and manage adoption phase. In this phase, the focus is all about execution and engagement. So you rolled out your communication plan to drive awareness and readiness. You launched and managed your change champion network to keep momentum strong on the ground. You delivered hands-on training and enablement sessions to build confidence and capability across impacted users. You provided white glove leadership support, helping leaders understand and model adoption. And at the same time, you proactively and reactively manage resistance. And finally, you measured adoption and success metrics. Now that we have successfully implemented and driven adoption, it is time to move into phase 4, which is when we sustain and reinforce the new behaviors for using the new HCM or HRO tool. This is really where you focus on maintaining momentum and making the change stick long term. Think of this phase as moving from launch mode to continuous improvement mode. There are 6 things for you to keep in mind. 1, start by maintaining your change champion network and feedback loops. Keep your champions and key stakeholders active so they can quickly identify what is being successful and what is not. 2, continue office hours and user support so that you can provide ongoing help and keep confidence levels high. Don't assume just because you've rolled out the new HCM platform that the job is done. No, people still need reinforcement. 3, You will also want to measure adoption even after go live. During the sustain phase, make sure you continue to measure adoption, track usage. The admins for the new HCM, connect with them, ask them to give you access so you can track the dashboards, the reporting dashboard, so you can see who's using the tool, which departments, which groups, how often are they using the new HCM. That way you can track sentiment trends over time. Four, you want to capture and integrate lessons learned so that future rollouts can benefit from this experience. Five, you want to reinforce and recognize. You want to celebrate success stories. You want to highlight top users. You want to show the impact that adoption is having. Something that I do often when doing change management consulting is I ask leaders to cascade communications that recognize people that are going far and beyond in adopting the new tool. That really goes a long way in getting people excited. It goes a long way in getting people to feel appreciated. And those people that are not recognized, they want to be recognized. So guess what they will do? They will actually boost their adoption. That way they can make it on the list of people that are recognized during the next round. So make sure you keep this in mind. Six, you want to ensure that you embed change into business as usual operations. So make sure policies, workflows, procedures, job aids are all updated with how to use the new tool. Now let us go over the methodology that we just went over. Right here it is on this slide. We are bringing everything together. What we have just covered is a proven end-to-end change management framework that you can use for supporting HCM and HRO types of workforce software. This end-to-end framework is scalable, so you can use it for a pilot and then scale it out to enterprise. It also is structured to help you go from readiness assessments through design and development all the way to implementation. We have included timelines for delivering change management for HCM software, and you can see the timeline reflected here. In total, the estimates will range from 3 months all the way to 12 months for implementing change management for a HCM platform, just depending on the size, the scale, the number of impacted people, how large the organization is, and also other factors. Now, when I discuss with leadership and I present this slide, I normally emphasize one thing. Here it is. This 3 to 12 months change management timeline does not include the solution being planned, designed, developed, tested by the program and project teams. This 3 to 12 months really focuses on the change management deliverables. So when you present such a similar slide to your leaders, you want to make sure you emphasize that 3 to 12 months is really focused on change management. You are talking about change management, okay? Now, if you have any questions about rolling out change management for a HCM or HRO software, or if you need help with rolling it out for your organization or for any organization, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I see the link below. You can also find the link to the readiness assessment survey that I've put together that you can literally start using as part of your readiness assessments. And I have also included a link to the detailed step-by-step guide for doing change management to increase adoption for any HCM and HRO software. And don't forget to like this video, as that lets me know that you have received value from it. You can also subscribe to the channel so you don't miss great content like this one.